Hello and welcome back to Matte's Tottenham blog and to today's live stream reviewing yesterday's 4-0 victory over Burnley in the Premier League. It feels like it's been a long time since I've sat here and spoken positively about a Premier League game, but that time has finally come as Gareth Bale was at the double with Harry Kane and Lucas Moura also getting on the score sheet to see Spurs return to winning ways in the Premier League. 2 4-0 victories in a row with games against Fulham and Crystal Palace coming up in the next 6 or so days. It's a very important week for Spurs and one that could see us get back into a European race, not for the top 4 just yet, but maybe looking to get back into those Europa League spots ahead of next season. Before we do get into that game, if you are new to the channel and you want more content like this, plus live watch-alongs, I will be back for the one against Fulham on Thursday. We also have previews, reviews, the Tottenham Fan Voice podcast, and any content you could want from a Spurs channel. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure to drop a like on the stream if you were happy with yesterday's performance and yesterday's results. And as always, if you do want access to exclusive content and a giveaway which is coming up very soon, make sure to hit that join button down below. And everything will be explained to you down there when you hit that. I do want to say as well, while I was gone yesterday, there were some new members on the channel. So we've got Vince, Caroline, and Dark Sung Ji. If this will come up there in a second. Thank you very much for becoming members of the channel. It is greatly appreciated as always. We got Thomas James Smith, Killian Kenny, Ethelston, Inspector E, Wayne Bonner, Holly as well. Welcome all along to the stream, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Wayne says, "Evening, fellas. How are we feeling after yesterday? Personally, I'm still smiling." Well, look, it was a fantastic performance from back to front. I think everything went absolutely perfectly for Spurs. So I'm still smiling as well. As you can see, it's been difficult to get into a bad mood over the last 24 or so hours. It was just brilliant from Spurs, and hopefully it is some sort of omen for what is to come for the rest of the season. Maybe, just maybe, we could find some form, win that Europa League, win that Carabao Cup, get into the top 4. That is what dreams are made of. But I'm not going to say that's going to happen because I don't think it is. There's still a lot of work for Spurs to do, but we might as well get into all the good side of this, because Spurs were absolutely incredible yesterday, and it started off in perfect fashion. We really couldn't complain at any point during that game, because it took just 68 seconds for Gareth Bale to get on the score sheet, and what was just his third start of the Premier League season for Spurs. That is the fastest ever goal that Burnley have conceded in the Premier League, so it really was a quick start from Spurs. And I think what that did was it forced Burnley to abandon their game plan from minute 1, because Burnley, as we know, came into this game looking to stay compact, stay sharp behind the ball, maybe try and counter-attack every now and then, which I think they were actually really looking to do yesterday. I think Sean Dyche absolutely spotted the vulnerabilities in that Spurs defence and started Mate Vidra and Jay Rodriguez instead of Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes, because catching us in the counter-attack was something they really could have gone for yesterday, because I'm sure he knows Spurs are looking to implement a more attacking style of play in recent weeks, and we were going to be very exposed at the back. And he went to exploit that, but Davinson Sanchez and Toby Alderweireld were on great form yesterday. Look, again, we'll get into that a little bit later. We're also actually going to talk about the debate between Jamie Redknapp and Roy Keane. I see a lot of people talking about that before the stream even started. Thank you to those who did tune in earlier on. We will talk about that. But look, the main bit, as Holly says, Bale is back. That's 7 goal contributions in just 4 games now for Gareth Bale. 4 goals and 3 assists, getting 2 yesterday. The first goal, it's hard to get too excited about that first goal. It was a good ball into a good area by Son, but the Burnley defence just fell asleep. The defender let it go past him. I think Nick Pope was waiting for that ball to roll into his hands, but Gareth Bale, alive and alert to the situation, managed to sneak in there, get a little toe on it, and put it into the back of the net. And as I said, Burnley's game plan from minute 1 was in the mud, and it was quite easy then for Spurs to control the game. But the manner in which we controlled that game, I thought, was absolutely exceptional. Those front 4 of Bale, Son, Kane and Lucas were linking up so well. There was good decoy runs off the ball. There's movement off the ball. The passing was absolutely exceptional. You know, Ndombele and Højbjerg were able to pick that ball up from deep, and there was always an option on for them, which made it so much easier for us to make that transition from back to front. You know, if you look at that chance Kane had in the first 10 or so minutes when he was just outside the box and he fired the ball just wide. It was the ball coming to Ndombele deep inside our own half. I think we got it from Højbjerg. He spun past one player, fired it into the feet of Harry Kane, and from then on we were driving forward. He had Lucas and Bale to the right of him, Son to the left of him, and it was essentially a 4-on-4 when we did get in behind that Burnley midfield. I think Kane was really unlucky with that chance, firing it just wide from range. It was a very decent effort, but I think it was just it's a sign of what was to come for the next 80 or so minutes in that game for Spurs and for Burnley. Arthur says, "Hi Matt, it was great to see us playing great football, but was very impressed with Sanchez." Arthur, thank you so much for tuning in as always. It was a brilliant performance from Spurs, as I said, from back to front. And we will get on to Davinson Sanchez in a little bit as well. Dark Sung Ji, thank you so much for becoming a member yesterday. If you didn't see me say that already, says once Lo Celso returns, we could go to top 4. Also, Leicester have injury problems, so I think we could go ahead of them. What do you think? And look, I actually have notes here. I was on the Friday forecast and the LFC Day Trippers. Leicester are missing at the moment. They're missing James Maddison, James Justin, Dennis Pratt, Fofana, Jose Perez, and Wes Morgan. So a lengthy injury list there for Leicester. And this is the part of the season where they do typically crumble. So perhaps there could be troubles in the near future for Brendan Rodgers aside, and maybe we could make a little push for that top 4. At the moment, I'm not going to say it's back on because one win after 3 or 4 defeats is not good enough, but we do, I suppose, have to be somewhat optimistic. Cody, thanks for tuning in, says we are so much crisper passing the ball and not just making the easy sideways or back pass. We were so much closer, or we were passing much closer to the opponent's feet, and that is where we can rip defenses wide open. I fully agree with you on that one. Christopher says, how are you today, Matt? Christopher, I'm absolutely fantastic. Love that performance from Spurs yesterday, and loving seeing so many of you tuning in here already. Let us know where you're watching from, Christopher, and everybody else. Where are you tuning in from this evening, and where were you watching the Spurs game yesterday, of course. How are you, Christopher, as well? Thank you so much for tuning in. Will says passing is equal to the quality of the players on the pitch. Absolutely, those players are extremely good players, and I showed that in their passing ability yesterday. Vince, can come on, you Spurs. A little bit of Lucas Moura vibes there. Will says don't forget Harvey Barnes. Of course, I think he was on the bench yesterday. He couldn't quite make it into that starting team. He's been a revelation this season. Bradley says we need to keep our feet on the ground with Bale. He's done fantastic, but against lower quality of teams. Hope he can continue this form for the rest of the season. Gareth here saying Marcelo and David were great yesterday. Watch your back, Matt. Look, I'm very, I wouldn't say wary. I'm delighted that they're doing so well, and they're helping me out in my channel. Of course, David's doing so well his own channel as well. It's fantastic to see. We've Derek tuning in from Korea. We've Vince tuning in from London. 92 Flamethrower in San Diego. Cody in snowy Canada, California. I apologize, I'm not entirely sure which one that is. Holly says this week is massive. Need to keep this momentum going. Great to see Bale and hopefully Dele both pushing on now in business end of the season. I'll talk a bit about Dele a bit more later in the game, but just back onto that point of Gareth Bale, because look, it's of course easy to say he's been fantastic in the last couple of weeks, but as the comment said a second ago, we do really need to see him do that against the better opposition. Now, he hasn't quite had the chance to do that yet this season, and you can only really beat what's in front of you, and he's been doing that with aplomb in recent weeks. He got that goal away to Wolfsberger, got an even better goal at home to Wolfsberger then in the return fixture, and of course the two against Burnley yesterday. That second goal was an incredible finish. It was reminiscent of the Gareth Bale that we sold to Real Madrid 8 or so years ago. He was so confident, got that ball. The first thing he wanted to do was get it on his left foot and whip it into the far corner, and even though the defender knew what he wanted to do, it's still so much more difficult to stop that when a player is as confident and is as on form as Gareth Bale is. And on that second goal as well, I think people are kind of underestimating the importance of that decoy run from Lucas Moura. He making the run from kind of in the centre of the park out to the left-hand side, which dragged Charlie Taylor away from Gareth Bale, which opened up that space on the far side. Son playing that crisp ball into his feet, and Bale one touch onto his left foot, and an emphatic finish into the far corner that no keeper was going to stop. Nick Pope didn't even make much of an effort there, but as I said, that's 7 goals in 4 games, or 7 goal contributions in 4 games for Gareth Bale, with 4 goals and 3 assists. Again, against weaker opposition, but it's a massive improvement of what we saw earlier in the season. And after that cup game against Wickham, I said we were starting to see some improvement from him, a bit more confidence kind of creeping into his game. And we see that even more and more now. Yesterday, he was taking players on. He's adapted his game. There's no doubt about that. He's adapted in terms of he's picking and choosing his moments to make that run past the fullback Charlie Taylor it was yesterday, because he knows as at 31 years of age that he's not going to have the fitness and the physical ability to make those runs every 2 seconds. If we want to look back at his prime performances with Spurs against Inter Milan, for example, in that Champions League campaign when he almost or essentially ended Maicon's career, he's not going to be able to do that. With the way he is now, he's going to have to pick and choose those moments, and I think he did that perfectly against Burnley. And there is still going to be an element of needing to adapt his game and to develop this new style of play that he has. But I thought he was fantastic in doing that yesterday. There was other times he kind of just creeping inside, kind of sitting in a more central role, making that space down the right hand side for the fullback. Of course, cutting in onto his left foot is where he was at his best at Spurs before, and at Real Madrid as well. He loves coming inside almost in an Iron Robin style and whipping that ball towards the far corner with that left foot, and that's how he's scoring his goals. Aside from that first goal yesterday, his last 3 goals have been coming in off the right hand side and hitting it with his left foot into the far corner, and it's working absolutely fantastically. And if we can manage to overload the left hand side of that pitch and find him in space out on the right hand side, which is how we scored against Wolfsburger at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the return fixture, and against Burnley yesterday, if we can manage to create that space for him, he could be absolutely pivotal to us for the rest of the season. And if he can cement his place in that starting 11, I can't see why we wouldn't be able to continue, getting Lucas running from inside out towards that left, Harry Kane dropping a bit deeper, and then Son and Reguilon overloading those the defenders on the opposition's right hand side, so our left hand side, to make that space on the right for Gareth Bale. And even look, if Bale is tracked, there's going to be even more space down that right hand side for Serge Aurier or Matt Doherty or Jaffet Tanganga, whoever it is in the right back role, to bring that down there. And it's almost a reverse of what we did last season. Last season when we had that unbalanced back forward, Ben Davies sitting in as another centre back and Serge Aurier bombing down that right hand side, and we were just purely packing or attacking right hand side. If we can just reverse that a bit, do that down the left, and create the space for Gareth Bale, he won't have to be at a physical peak. His fitness won't have to be at his best. He just needs to find space and get on the ball, and he will put that ball in the back of the net. And he was doing that yesterday, testing the keeper quite a bit. And the main word to bring about Gareth Bale right now is confidence. He was so confident. He was picking up the ball. He was playing some fantastic passes. That pass that he played for Harry Kane's goal yesterday, 50, 60, 70 yard diagonal, he made look easy. Now look, the defender I think helped us a little bit by jumping, trying to cut out the ball in midair, which wasn't really going to work, and the deflection on it as well. I think it did help, but it was still an incredible ball from Gareth Bale, and he was back to his best yesterday. And it's an improvement of what we saw in those 2 Europa League games as well. It's not as though he's just staying at that level. He seems to be getting better and better. And we all knew it was going to take some time. It definitely took longer than we hoped it would. It took longer than I thought it would. But if we can get him back, if we can get him firing towards the end of the season, I see no reason why Spurs wouldn't extend that loan for another year and have him in our squad next season as well. And look, there is, of course, a time when the natural decline will begin. He may get back up to 50, 60, 70% of what he was in his first spell at Spurs, and then he might start to decline. But 70% of that Gareth Bale is still an incredible addition to our team, especially when no player has been able to kind of buy that place on the right-hand side. Bergwijn's had his chance, Lucas, Lamela have had their chances, and on the right-hand side, none of them have really concreted their place down there. Lucas now is playing a bit more central to accommodate Gareth Bale, and if that's what we need to do, perfect. I'll absolutely be happy to do that. But the fact that Gareth Bale is starting to hit a bit of form now, and that left foot is looking as good as it ever did, it's exciting. It's going to be really hard not to get too excited about that. Now, before we start talking about a few more players and a bit more about that game yesterday, please make sure to smash that like button if you are enjoying the stream. If you were happy with that result yesterday, it really helps me out a lot. Make sure to smash that subscribe button as well if you haven't already for more of this content. Paul says, don't forget, guys, before you jump on Roy Keane's back, he's a Spurs supporter and is measuring the team by his standard. His comment is no different than everyone else's of late. And again, we will be talking about that a little bit later. Flamethrower saying, did you see Reguilon's response to Roy Keane? It was good. The gif of eating the popcorn. Skippy says, hey, Matt, hope you're well. I just want you to be able to do what you do without worrying about anything. Skippy, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Dean says, Matt, I've got events here in a game that need to come down 14 seconds in the second half. Can you do it? Well, Dean, if it's your game, you can do it yourself. Bradley saying, do you think Dele Alli will be back in the cold when Celso is back fit? And that is something that I do kind of want to touch on a bit today. With Dele Alli not being in that starting 11, I was thinking, is it kind of tough love from Jose Mourinho, or is it a fitness issue? Because look, he went a long time without playing first team football, so of course there will be that. He won't be at his best fitness level. He won't be game fit to play, start against Wolfsburger on Thursday, whatever it was. And then he's not going to be able to start 2-3 games every week, which, we're not going to give out about. But I personally felt he should have gotten that start yesterday. And I think he will probably get the start on Wednesday, but I have a feeling it'll be ahead of Gareth Bale, because Bale isn't going to be able to play 2-3 games every week as well. So I think we might see Lucas Moura put out to that right-hand side, maybe Eric Lamela coming in place of him, and Dele Alli starting in that central role. And Ali came on, of course, yesterday, and he was quite effective. He was on for 24 minutes. He had 34 touches with a 95% or 93% pass accuracy. Now, of our front players, a lot of them averaged about 50 touches for the entire 90 minutes. So for Dele Alli to be that involved, averaging more than a touch a minute, I think shows the level of confidence that he is exuding now as well. If you're looking at that bicycle kick he scored against Wolfsburger in the Champions League, confidence is not an issue with Dele Alli right now. And I don't know that it ever has been. I think there's been that element of kind of complacency, which is, you could argue, is overconfidence. But now that he's starting to refine that form, he's kind of finding his place in the team again. Confidence added to that he could be amazing. And this is where we're starting to get really excited. And Gary here makes the same point. He says, with the four amigos up top for Spurs now building confidence up, we can smash any team any week, and in the process relieve the pressure on the back four. Job done. Come on, you Spurs. He's watching from N17 and Tottenham. Gary, thanks for tuning in from the home of our football club. And look, if the four of them can really get going towards the end of the season, I think the sky is the limit for Spurs in the Europa League. And look, there's another month and a half or so until that Carabao Cup final. If we can really find some form there, I don't think Man City will be in a similar vein of form come the end of April, because they're on 20 wins in a row now. There will be a time when that does have to come to an end. I don't think that winning run will still be intact when we do play that cup final at Wembley. But there will be a little shift in form there. And if we can get as far as we can in terms of getting back up that form table and refining that confidence, I think there is a chance for us in that cup final. But a lot of it depends on the two in the middle, Højbjerg and Dembele, and the front four also getting going. And look, the form of Bale and Alli, it's not surprising that has affected the form of Lucas and Lamela as well, because Lucas has been better than I've seen him in a couple of years in the last couple of weeks, and Lamela, when he has managed to get in the team, has been really impactful as well. So it's not just the case of having those four players firing, it's the competition that creates, and the kind of improvement in form that forces from the other players around them as well. You can't underestimate the effect that could have. Skippy comes in and says, hey Matt, I just want you to be able to give 100% to this channel. You were doing a great job. Skippy, thank you very much for that. I massively appreciate that. And look, if anybody else wants me to be here full time hosting all the watch alongs and all that, I know Marcelo and David are doing an absolutely fantastic job, and I can't thank them enough. But please, if you do want to help support the channel, get in your super chats. I'll read all your comments. I'll read all your questions if you do get them in. Or if you want a little something in return as well, hit that join button down below and you can become a channel member. And we'll everything will be explained if you do go down and hit that join button. Will says, that depends on Dele's form. If he makes himself undroppable, then he will stay in the side. Vince getting a bit excited for Wednesday night, saying Fulham 0, Spurs 10. Now look, I'll be back for the watch along on Thursday, so please make sure to tune in, every single one of you, for that one on Thursday. Wayne says, Bale outpacing the Burnley player on the right wing yesterday was absolutely class. So that's what I've been saying. We haven't seen that from him in so long. It's been ages since we've seen Gareth Bale do that. It's been since 2013, the last time we saw him do that. It's just those kind of glimpses of that old Gareth Bale coming back in, which are just incredibly, incredibly exciting. Martin, thanks for tuning in. Says, hey Matt, great to see Bale hitting form. A fabulous player on his day, absolutely. And Martin, a United fan, saying that. Ethelson, welcome to the stream. Aaron Fernandez tuning in as well. Says, evening Matt, what did you make of Roy Keane's comments yesterday? Roy Keane's comments, I think he had a point, but he was putting it about in a harsh way. And I want to explain that before anybody gets a bit upset. He said, when you remove Harry Kane and Heung-min Son from that Spurs team, it is an average team. Yes, it is. If you remove Salah and Mane from Liverpool, they're an average team. If you remove De Bruyne and, say Riyad Mahrez or Phil Foden or Raheem Sterling from that City team, maybe they're still up there. That was a bad example there, a sensational team. 99% of teams, if you remove their two best players, they are a worse team. So in that regard, he was right about what he was saying. It was just a completely irrelevant point. I think in arguing this with Jamie Redknapp, I think both were so stubborn in what they were trying to say, and were kind of both wanting to be proven right, that they both went to a bit of an extreme with their points. And Jamie Redknapp saying, this team should be in the top four, blah, 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 blah. And Roy Keane saying this team shouldn't be in the top four. And realistically, if you're looking at what happened in the last couple of weeks in the Premier League, this team should not be in the top four. We need to stop judging teams on paper and start judging them by what we're actually seeing on the football pitch. I mean, if you look at Manchester United, that front line of Rashford, Martial, on paper should be putting the ball in the back of the net a lot more, but they're not doing that because they haven't had the quality to do so this season. If you're looking at Liverpool, having a midfield of Thiago, Wijnaldum and Curtis Jones playing behind Salah, Mane and Firmino, they should be winning games, but they're struggling to do that. We need to stop judging things on paper. And again, talking about Redknapp and Keane, we need to stop judging things on paper and start judging it by what we're seeing on the football pitch. So I think Roy Keane had a point. I think Jamie Redknapp had a point, but I think they both went kind of to either extreme in trying to prove that they were right in it. So I think they both kind of lost all validity and all kind of credibility with their points by the fact that they did kind of take it a bit too far, and both seemed too eager to be right about it, which of course never really helps their case at all. The Irish Hotspur David tuning in says, make sure you smash a like in the stream. What a win yesterday, Matt. No surprise it came when our best players are not injured in Reguilon, Aurier and Toby. Well, look, David, thank you so much. I always say it to you, but thank you so much for helping Marcelo run that live watch on yesterday. Everyone head over to the Irish Hotspur and subscribe while he is here. And absolutely, those players back in the team are a massive boost. And, I just want to say on the point of Davinson Sanchez, because you're after pointing out Toby Alderweireld there. Sanchez was really good yesterday. He was massively improved, but he's still not good enough. And I just want to explain this again before people get a kind of jump at me a bit, because I know some of my takes are a bit kind of a bit strong, but when I kind of explain them, I think they can be understood a bit more. Davinson Sanchez was almost flawless yesterday. He won 11 out of his 14 aerial duels and 3 out of 4 of his ground duels. That defence is always better when Toby Alderweireld is in it. Toby Alderweireld as a player has declined in the last 12 to 18 months, naturally due to his age, the fact that he's lost his almost lifelong footballing partner in Jan Vertonghen. There has been a decline in his ability. We can't blame him for that. We can't question that. That was always going to happen to him. But the one thing that will never decline, and that, in my opinion, will continue to improve right till the day his career ends, is his knowledge of the game, his understanding of what the team wants to do, what the opponent wants to do, and his sense of awareness in terms of being able to organise that defence around him. Davinson Sanchez, beside Toby Alderweireld, is a completely different player to Davinson Sanchez beside Eric Dyer. And that for me was proven yesterday. Now, we were, I think, helped by the fact that, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, I think Sean Dyche planned to catch Spurs on a counter-attack with Matej Vydra and Jay Rodriguez by taking out Ashley Barnes and Chris Wood of that team, taking them out of that team. If Sanchez had been up against those two in aerial battles, the 11 out of 14 aerial duels won would not have been the stat. We'd be looking at the other side, maybe 11 out of 14 lost, because he's not very strong in the air. But I think Sanchez looked a lot better yesterday because he was alongside Toby Alderweireld. And if we can keep Toby in that team for the rest of the season, even alongside Davinson Sanchez, because right now Eric Dyer and Sanchez, neither are good options. They both just kind of offer something different. I think Sanchez, when we're trying to play attacking football, is a bit faster on the transition to step back and defend when it is needed. Whereas Eric Dyer will probably be a better player when we are playing that low block and teams are going to try and catch us out from set pieces or long balls into the box. If we want to keep that compact unit, Sanchez should not be anywhere near that team. It needs to be Eric Dyer. Now, Sanchez showed yesterday one instance in particular that I saw on Twitter. He showed he's still not a good enough defender. Burnley, I think, played the ball down the left-hand side, and the ball came into Matej Vydra's feet, and he just managed to kind of make it past Davinson Sanchez. And Sanchez, with his recovery run, ran straight to the ball. So Vydra is kind of coming from the left side, kind of cutting in, going back towards goal, and Sanchez ran straight to that ball. What Sanchez needs to do there, defensively, is cut off the lane that Vydra is planning to run into. But instead, he went straight to Matej Vydra. A stronger and faster player would have gone past Sanchez there and probably scored. So Sanchez did get a bit lucky in that instance. His decision-making isn't always good. His defensive positioning and awareness hasn't always been the best, but it's improved when he's put alongside a player like Toby Alderweireld, as it is with Eric Dyer when he plays alongside Alderweireld. Dyer and Sanchez should never play on a football pitch together, ever, no matter what. Whatever instance you want to create, whatever you want to say about Spurs and what team we should play, the two of them should never, ever be in a team together. And Toby Alderweireld, as we saw yesterday, just massively improves that defence. And we were so lucky that that was able to come into effect yesterday in a game where Davinson Sanchez did keep Burnley out in the opening stages of that game, as Alderweireld did. And the fact that we were able to get that early goal, then kind of keep Burnley out for a bit, then get that second goal, and then get that third goal, it was a completely different game as to what it would have been, say, if that had been Alderweireld and Dyer, where we may not have had as much pace on the transition when Burnley were attacking because of the players that they did pick, where Burnley might have gotten an equaliser. It might have been 1-1 before Harry Kane ever managed to get on the score sheet. So it's a case of picking the players for the game in particular, rather than picking the players that you think are the best. A lot of people would have preferred to see Eric Dyer in that team yesterday, but when I saw it was Davinson Sanchez, I was absolutely delighted about that, because for me, when I see Sanchez in the team, it's a sign that we're going to play attacking football. It's a sign that we're going to go out and try and take the game to the opposition, and that we want to have that bit of recovery pace on the transition and getting back. And maybe Serge Aurier is the same as that, because Aurier is quicker than Matt Doherty. So maybe Aurier is there for that pace on the transition as well. And on the left-hand side, Ben Davies, say, started against Liverpool at Anfield. We were never going to attack that game. Maybe he was there for defensive stability rather than the pace going backwards and forwards the whole way through. So it's all about picking the players for the games that you're playing, rather than the actual your best players, if that does make sense. Wayne says Dyer should never be on a football pitch ever. I'm sure a lot of people would agree with that. Will says, I'm still Winks and Lamela out, have been since 2018 and will be till they are gone. Vince says, I want 10-0 against Fulham because that means 10 cans. But that's fair enough. I can't really debate that one. David says Lucas was excellent in the cam role and really helped with the press and made it effective. And when we have our best players out, we can play ball, which means we're not losing it and being pinned back. Agree with you as always, David. Lily White Lane, thanks for tuning in. I'm all good. How are you? We have Leland Edwards here joining the membership club. Thank you very much, Leland, for that. If you head over to the community feed into the member to you at Premier League level, we will have a giveaway for members coming very, very shortly, so make sure to keep an eye out for that one as well. Anyone else, if you are interested in becoming a channel member, hit that join button down below. Vince says, I like Tarkowski, but West Ham wanted him, so not too eager. Let's take some West Ham players in the summer. Look, there are a lot of players at a lot of teams that we would in the past have classed as bang average in the Premier League that I would take at Spurs right now. There's a few in that West Ham team, there's a few in the Burnley team, quite a few at Aston Villa as well. So I think this summer maybe it will be smarter to pick players off those teams rather than going for the big names around Europe. Wayne says Jose got his starting 11 spot on yesterday. I do agree with you on that one. Vince says welcome Leland Edwards to the members club. Paul says Sanchez will improve with Toby or a new top class centre back beside him. Would Dyer improve? Not till hell freezes. Lily White Lane says Sanchez, in my opinion, is in the conversation for man of the match. Brilliant defensively, so positionally aware and fought for every ball. Victor says Lamela has turned into a box-to-box midfielder. If he played in Sissoko's role, no one would have a complaint about him. It's a very good point. Lamela is one that will fight for every ball. And Hafiz tuning in from Malaysia. Thank you very much for that one. Lily White Blue says, I think Jose will pick a different team against Fulham. And look, I think he has to pick a different team against Fulham. I think he has to rotate. Whether Dyer will be chosen for either of the games against Fulham and Palace, I'm not too sure, because he played his part in throwing away the 1-0 leads we had against both those clubs respectively earlier in the season. A quick one on Hugo Lloris. He reached a record yesterday. He became just the eighth goalkeeper to register 100 clean sheets for a single Premier League team yesterday. A lot of us calling for him to be replaced in the summer, and I don't want him to leave, but I want us to have a better goalkeeper, if that makes sense. It's nothing personal on him. I just think we need to have a goalie at a higher level if we do want to progress. But a massive landmark for him yesterday, reaching 100 Premier League clean sheets, just the 8th player to do that for one club, is a very good return for him. Heung-min Son yesterday also I wouldn't say set a record, but kind of reached some of the landmark as well. He's just the 3rd player to assist Gareth Bale for 2 Premier League goals, 2 goals in a single Premier League game. The last 2 players to do that, the only other 2 players to do that, were Raphael van der Vaart in 2010 and Aaron Lennon in 2011. So Son definitely in some esteemed company there for that one. And Son didn't get on the score sheet yesterday. I know there were a lot of fans hoping he would. Of course, I was hoping he would as well. But the link up between Son and Bale is looking really, really dangerous. Look, as we just said there, only the 3rd player to assist Gareth Bale for 2 goals in a single Premier League match. The first one, questionable defending. The second one, a brilliant ball into Bale's foot, 1 touch out, and whipped it into the far corner. Was a very, very good goal by him. But Son has this relationship with Kane. Son has this relationship with Bale. This front 3, which is looking like it is becoming a front 4 as we kind of revert to that 4-2-3-1 as opposed to the 4-3-3 that was kind of becoming the trademark under Jose Mourinho's Spurs. If Son can start to create that relationship with Gareth Bale that he's had with Harry Kane for so long, the sky's the limit for the Spurs attack. And again, I know I keep saying, but getting Dele Alli into that attack as well, as Dele Alli looks to reclaim his form as well. Son and Ali, of course, have that relationship from playing in the past and training together for all this time and all that. It's becoming a really exciting time for this Spurs attack, and I think that's that there with Son and Bale kind of proves that for me. Bradley says, Matt, would you still take Nick Pope as a replacement for Lloris after watching Pope yesterday? And Wayne with a similar question saying, who would you bring in as goalkeeper? I think Nick Pope has to be in the conversation personally, because look, the homegrown quota it's something that none of us like talking about, but it is something we have to talk about. We're right on top of that limit, and while it would be great to bring in a keeper like Gigi Donnarumma from AC Milan, I don't think that's likely. I don't think we're going to be able to do that. Of course, Andrea Onana would have been in the discussion before he failed that doping test. He's out for a year now, banned by UEFA. I think Nick Pope has to be in the debate. And look, I'm not going to judge Nick Pope off one performance. I think he played quite well yesterday. He made some comments himself where he said, the attack, the shooting from Spurs was just too good, and he made a couple of good saves. He did, I think, play as well as he could have, but he even said himself it's a very different story when you're trying to keep out that Spurs attack compared to the majority of others in Premier League football. So I'm not going to judge him based on that game alone, but he's a keeper that I think should be starting for England. Look, I know I'm not English, so there's probably people in this chat who will have a stronger opinion on this than me, but I don't think Jordan Pickford should be anywhere near that starting position for England. I think it should be between Nick Pope and Dean Henderson. And for me, because Pope at the moment does have consistent first-team football at club level, I think he should get the nod over Dean Henderson. And for me, that's kind of a similar similar reason why I wouldn't take Dean Henderson at Spurs right now. And look, Manander here says for 50, I'd rather go for Dean Henderson. And I had this discussion in work yesterday, and we were looking back at some of Dean Henderson's best saves in the Premier League for Sheffield United last season. And he is an exceptionally talented goalkeeper. As Martin says here, he's of course a United fan, says, wouldn't be surprised if you picked up Henderson if United decided to keep De Gea. Really hope it doesn't happen though. He is an incredible goalkeeper, but he's never played consistently at this level. He has played a few times for Man United. He made a couple of mistakes in that game against Sheffield United, I think, gave them a goal. And he hasn't proved himself at that level. When you're with Sheffield United, it's a constant case of shots coming in, having to make those saves, having to be fast off your line, coming claiming those crosses. But when he's in a situation where he might have 15, 20 minutes with nothing to do, what are those concentration levels going to be like? What's he going to be doing in terms of distribution-wise and stuff like that? I don't think those questions have been asked of him. And look, I wouldn't say no to Dean Henderson. I'd probably take Dean Henderson over, Gazzaniga becoming our number one choice. But if it was a choice between Pope and Henderson, I would go for Pope purely because he is a consistent starting goalkeeper. Will Stewart says Winks is a better squad player than Lamela. Attacker's job is to score goals, make assists, or create scoring opportunities. Lamela as 11 or 10 should only come on as a sub to defend the lead. Look, that may be what he's best at. I personally am a fan of Lamela. I don't want to see him leave, but that's definitely a conversation for another day. Dark Sung G says Dele, Moura, and Lo Celso. If we can keep all three fit and in form, we can rotate and have a scary centre attacking midfielder, and that's exactly it. I don't know how many times in terms of predicted lineups or on a watch along waiting for lineups to come out where we didn't know who was going to be playing on the right hand side of our front three. Say when it was a 4-3-3, it would be Son on the left, Kane in the middle. We didn't know who was going to be on the right because there were no good options. Bale hadn't gotten going since he came back. Lucas, Bergwijn, Lamela, none of them were good enough. Some of them had their injury concerns. But now it's a case of we have a front four. All of a sudden there's an extra man in there, and we don't know who's going to be playing because of how good our options are. Because Son, Kane, Bale at the moment for me are the first three names in the team sheet. Bale will have to be rotated for fitness reasons. But in the middle, we can play Lucas, we can play Lamela, we can play Ali, and we still have Lo Celso to come back into that mix. There are so many options we have up there. And we know it is going to be between Ali and Lo Celso for that number 10 role because Jose Mourinho talking about Ndombele recently, if I can get my words out, said Ndombele now has the fitness to play 90 minutes, not just in the number 10 role, but in that double pivot in a more physically demanding role. So as Ali and Lo Celso begin to return from their injuries, it's between them for that number 10 role. And as you say, we can rotate. No player is going to want to be in that team every 90 minutes, every game we play. I think Vinicius is going to be needed as we come into this hectic period of the season, hopefully progressing in the Europa League. He's not getting enough minutes in the Premier League, but in those, the second leg games against Wolfsberger, or, if we have a convincing victory against Dinamo Zagreb in that first game, maybe we can keep Harry Kane back in London as we travel for the second leg, and Vinicius can get some time there. I think we do have a lot of place for rotation and things like that in the coming season. Vince says Sam Johnston, he's bigger than Mount Everest. Paul says Pope is an 8, Henderson is 6. See a few more comments here. Vince says if West Brom get relegated, Sam Johnston is English and young, will be cheap. Skippy, thank you again for the £2 super chat. Says Kane, Son, and Bale are scary as hell. Coming from a Liverpool fan, I'm sure you're more favourable of your own front three, but absolutely it's a terrifying prospect for any defence to come up against. I think Manchester City would be happy they got Spurs while we were still on our poor run, because even them with their best defence in England would have to have some sort of concerns about coming up against Kane, Son and Bale on any sort of form. And next up is Fulham. There will be rotation in that team, as there was a comment there a while ago. Jose will pick a different 11 for that game, which he needs to do because Bale won't be playing every single game. I think Aurier, did he go off with an injury yesterday? He may not be available for this one. Is it Doherty or Tanganga who comes in? Etelson says, do I think Bale should be starting from now on? Yes, but as I said, not every game, because we don't want to risk an injury. He was limping around for a bit yesterday, and I think it was clever to get him off with 20-25 minutes remaining in that game, because you don't want to push him right to those limits, as you can do with those younger players. With Son, with Højbjerg and Ndombele, Reguilon, you can push them right to their limit and then give them a few days to recover, and they can do the exact same thing a few days down the line. But with Gareth Bale, given his age, given his fitness issues and his struggles to stay fit in recent years, it's just too much of a risk to push him right to that right to the edge physically. So he needs to start, but not every game. I start him one game a week, if that is the case. If he gets 70, 75 minutes. I don't think he should start against Fulham on Wednesday. As I said, maybe Lamela out on that right-hand side and Dele Alli coming in the central role, because I just do not want to demand too much out of Bale. Edison says fair enough. Look, let me know in the live chat. Give us a yes or a no. Do you think Gareth Bale should be starting for Spurs consistently, or do you think he should be starting kind of as a more rotational role, given that he just doesn't have that fitness? That's Tottenham, says Matt. Do you think Dane Scarlett is our Ansu Fati? Look, we'll have to wait and see until Scarlett gets in that first team, but it definitely is a lot of potential there, and I'm really excited to see him get some more consistent game time for Spurs. It may be next season, given that we're coming to the business end of the Europa League now, but we'll have to wait and see just how good he is. And look, coming into the summer transfer window, I don't think we'll be looking for a striker. I'm not sure where Carlos Vinicius will be next season, but we have a lot of players who at the club who are looking to regain some form. Football Fan does think Bale should be starting. Shepard says only rotation is Doherty, but Sanchez, Toby and Reguilon won't be changed. 92 Flamethrower says Bale and Toby unfortunately can't play every game but have to play the important matches. Jack Northfield says starting sporadically, especially over the next month or so. Vince says keep Bale fresh for Arsenal. He does love a goal against Arsenal. That's one thing you can always say about Gareth Bale. That's Tottenham, says Jose said that he'll be in the first team next season on the point of Dane Scarlett. Wayne says Bale should start every game if he's able to. I suppose that's my opinion as well. Thomas says no, Bale must be managed and laid against the bigger tricky teams. Darksome G says I think he should play for 60 minutes or come on for 20-30 minutes as a super sub if he played too much as a starter. And Bradley there saying Mourinho's already said Bale can't play every game, and that is the unfortunate fact of the matter, that he just can't play every 90 minutes. He can't even play every game, getting 30 minutes as a sub or 60 minutes starting. He just doesn't have the physical fitness to do that. Will says Lamella has less attacking returns in his last 39 appearances than Bale has in 9. Numbers don't lie. Can't win matches without attacking returns from attackers. Look, that is you certainly can't argue that point. Leland says he doesn't want Bale starting. Lily White Lane says Matt, do you believe Sissoko should be a starter? Right now, no. Right now, Sissoko does not get anywhere near this team whatsoever. The players in the team are just too good for him to get in that first team. And I think earlier in the season, he was really important for us, kind of helping Sergio Aurier double up on players down that right-hand side. But at the moment, Sissoko doesn't get anywhere near the team because who he's battling for a starting position is Tanguy Ndombele. And there's only one winner in that debate. And I think everybody would agree with that. Skippy with another £2 says, I'm just glad for your sake Bale is back. Look, I tweeted it yesterday. Bale is back. A few people ask him was he back from the golf course? No, he's back on the football pitch. He's back fit and firing, putting the ball in the back of the net and being an important player for Spurs. It is a really exciting prospect for Spurs fans. And just a bit of housekeeping before we do finish up. I don't want to say I don't want to call it merch or merchandise because that seems kind of too YouTuber thing for me. But I'm going to be selling some Spurs t-shirts over the next. Well, starting now, I suppose. I've started kind of making a few designs. They're of course not the best in the world, but there is a link down in the description for the two of these and a Dele Alli one as well. Look, it's just something I was messing about with earlier. If someone wants to buy one, please feel free and do so. If you don't want to, I'm not gonna hold it personally or anything. Just a few things I put together. If you have any ideas for stuff I can do, pop them in the live chat, pop them in the comments below. If you have any improvements I can make for these, if you think these are good, of course, please, any feedback will be massively appreciated. It's just kind of all going towards supporting the channel and hopefully getting me on YouTube full time. Because at the end of the day, that is my goal. That's Tottenham saying, Matt, it looks class. Yeah, like I said, my goal is getting on here full time. We're a bit away from there at the moment, but there's no point being on this platform if I wasn't going to dream that is where I could end up. Other ways to support that, of course, if you want to hit that join button down below, become a channel member. You get hopefully a lot of stuff back in return. Kind of the members call-in shows, exclusive content, and some giveaways coming up soon as well, which may have something to do with the two t-shirts we just showed you there a second ago. If you are new to the channel, if you have enjoyed this stream, make sure to smash that subscribe button down below for Tottenham watch-alongs. Of course, back on Thursday for the game against Fulham. Reviews, previews, interactive live streams, the Tottenham Fan Voice podcast. Any content you could want from a Spurs channel, please help us get to 6K. Let's see if we can get to 6,000 subscribers before the end of the month of March. We're on 5837 at the moment. Please, every support will be massively appreciated. Excuse me. Smash that like button as well if you have enjoyed the stream. I've enjoyed it over the last 40 or so minutes. A good chat about where Spurs are and where we need to go in the coming weeks. As always, to everyone who has joined over the last 40 minutes, thanks for watching.